Good afternoon, everyone who are on Community CPA's webinar at this time. Today, it is just a very concentrated dose of differences between the employee and the contractor. And folks, I want to kind of just bring you back because sometimes you may are battling with the workforce audit because one of your squantled contractor went to apply for unemployment benefit, got you all messed up, and you are just like furious because he knows that he is a contractor. Now he went to unemployment insurance, applied for benefit there, and then the government was after your tail and telling you that you are misclassifying your workers and you shouldn't be doing that. Here is a couple $10,000 penalty for you. And it's just a chaos, right? So, but what is all triggering that? And I want to kind of give you give you my 20-some years experience and all of these audits I have done for our clients, and I understand why you fall into that trap. So we all know that if you hire an employee, say you hire Ying to be your accountant, right? And you hire me and you pay Social Security, Medicare, employment benefit. So you give me $1,000 as my monthly salary, and you may be, because of the benefit you have in the company, you're paying me $1,350 because you pay more because I'm your employee. So you have all these obligations. You need to withhold my taxes. You need to pay match on the Social Security, Medicare. That alone is already 15.2%, right? And then you also maybe have medical insurance, 401k, cash balance plan, all kind of benefit, PTO, right? Paid time off, PTO, and reimbursement whenever I drive my own car for you, and maybe I got a reimbursement or whatsoever. So with that, and you had more expenses as an employer versus a contractor. So you may say, well, Ying, I don't want to hire you as an employee. I'm just going to hire you as a contractor. So I give you $1,000 a month. That's all the expenses you have. Am I right? So, everyone who are in business, we understand that calculation. We understand you as an employer, as a business owner, you pay less money when you hire a contractor to do the work, but you paid more money to the employees. And then nowadays, nobody wants to be your employees. Nobody. Okay. And everybody wants to be their own boss, and everybody wants to do their own things, and nobody wants to be an employee. And even if you're trying to, even if you're trying to say that, oh, listen, I pay Social Security, Medicare for you, and I have all these benefits for you, it doesn't matter. People want to be a subcontractor. So with people you hire want to be subcontractor, and with you and have to spend much more money to hire employee. No wonder a lot of small businesses just hiring subcontractors. But is that right? Is that good? Is that okay? And are you going to be rained out by the government and penalize you from head to toes? Not good. It is not good. Yes, you will be penalized because you're not doing the right thing. So now you may ask, okay, Ying, you said all of that, but what do I do? I cannot, I don't know what to do. And I stuck and I need to hire subcontractors. I just cannot hire employee. And for both reasons, I couldn't find employee and I also couldn't afford it. All right. So if that is really the situation you're in, and the question to you is, are you really running a sensible business? We all want to be business owners, but not everybody really runs business like a business. And if you have to do shady stuff or wrong things to get through your business operation, then I would rather recommend you not to do, because you're going to accumulate debt, you're going to accumulate liability, accumulate government compliance review opportunities on you, and this is not good, right? So now let's talk about how you deal with that if you have the situation, right? Okay, the thing I also want to mention is our webinar, and that we don't take any responsibilities for how you use our webinar. So make sure you understand we have this no responsibility disclaimer put in place so we don't mislead you and you take responsibility of what you learn from here. All right, so subcontractor employees, and I already talked to you about the real difference in the dollars, right? And if you hire someone as an employee for $1,000, you actually spend $1,350. The minimum you do is $1,200. Okay, so it's between $200 to $350. It really depends on how much benefit you give to the employee, right? And for contractor, it's contractor. So they come in, they work, and then they're done, and you only pay 1,000. That is 1,000. So that's really the economical difference. But what really helping you to decide whether you're hiring a contractor and an employee, and let me give you the real life experience. Let's say if you're operating a CPA firm, just like Community CPA, and you have accountant working on CPA firms, right? So all of your accountants, and they should be employees. And you may say that, Ying, you can hire a contractor. Why are you not hiring a contractor? And I see people hiring contractor, and that is wrong. And sure, you will see people who are doing whatever they want to do. But by the rule, if your business is a CPA firm business, then you hire your subcontractor doing CPA firm work. They really is your employee. But of course, there are CPA firms, they farm out their work into overseas, right? They will hire accountants from, Mexico, from India, wherever they hire them. And when they do that kind of outsourcing, these are their vendors. These are the people, these are the company they're paying. They're writing a check to oversee company or oversee person for that payment. So that is not employee. Obviously, that would be a vendor or subcontractor. And because it's oversee, because the work was done in the foreign country, so it is more of a vendor relationship. It's not a subcontractor relationship. So basically, I want to tell you that if you are in a line of business, say you're in drywall business, and your subcontractor for doing drywall, they should be employee because they're the same primary activity you are doing. So you're actually, that's kind of related to your behavior control because this is your core business. So you actually control your quality. You actually control when they work. So those are the behavior control. One of the three things will determine whether they're an employee or not. So that's a behavior control. When business has a right to direct and control work performed by the worker, then the worker is an employee. And, because you are a CPA firm, so your core quality, your core activity is controlled. Otherwise, how do you become a CPA firm, right? So the same thing, if you are a restaurant, your food production, your kitchens, and your servers, these are all employees because you control their behavior. You tell them that when you take orders from client, you need to have an eye contact with your client and you need to smile. Your first word, it would be, how may I help you? You're controlling the behavior. You're giving them the guidelines how to do work. And for CPA firm, and you need to review your financial statement, and then you need to make sure that the numbers and the ratios are all make sense. So those are behavior controls. These are quality control, behavior control you had in place. So these are your employees, folks. Okay, what about finance control? That's a second item. If you hire someone and you will pay for what the time they spend on you. Okay, that is such a typical employee relationship. I have just seen, I have a client who contacted me because they were going through the audit. They already finished the audit, but the audit wasn't really done really well. So they think the questionnaires they answered to the workforce maybe not answered properly. So I was going through the document. One of the question is, how do you pay your subcontractor? And the answer is by hours. And by hours, if they work less, you pay less. If they work more, you pay more. That is a very typical employee and employer relationship. So subcontractor, typically, normally, it is by job, right? You want to carpet this 5,000 square footage. And I pay you $2 per square footage. And I don't care you take a year to do it or you take a month to do it, right? Or take a day. So those are, these are totally different financial control, you can see. And then employee is generally guaranteed the regular wages. So what about if you have a subcontractor, and this subcontractor goes, I need you to pay me $1,000 every month, basically. And then whatever I do, and based on my time, you pay me more or less. That's an employee talking to you, folks. So you really want to make sure that when you have a contract with your subcontractor, there's no such a thing about compensating by time, because you cannot control their behavior. When you do by time, you're controlling their behavior as well, right? Because you're documenting their time. They really should be by jobs. So that is the part of the financial control. And the last control, which is relationship. So these three things, in California, when you fill up the questionnaire, these three are three questions they have on the top of the line. If you answer these three, yes, 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 you already have an employee. There's no argument about it. Okay. So now relationship. Written contract, which describes the relationship the party intend to create. Business providing benefits such as insurance, pension plan, vacation pay, sick pay to employee, but not to subcontractors. So on that contract with subcontractors, you should put on behavior control, none. You do your work, I don't care when you do it, right? And in terms of finance control, none. And by job, if you have to redo the job, that's your thing, not my thing, right? And then on relationship, and this is, we are contractor, you are my contractor, please make sure you got your own insurance. Please make sure that you give me your business card and show me that you're a valid business. Please make sure you fill out W-9 and check who you are, right? But if you fill up W-9, check sole proprietorship, single member LLC, and you're literally a subcontractor anyway, because you're literally employee anyway, because you are a person, you're working as a person, and you are giving your time and effort to that employer. So typically, if you want to play safe, folks, the person you hire should have a corporation. They should be an S corporation or C corporation, make them a corporation, make them a partnership. And they need to be that way in order you to not go into the area where you have to bring this individual in as your employee after 10 years working for you as a subcontractor. That's a huge amount to come up for that kind of misclassification. All right, so now the as a contractor and the employee, the regulations, the laws are applied differently. So employment law and the subjecting to the employee, the government compliance follows those laws. Payroll taxes and income tax filing is all related to employee. Of course, the subcontractor also file income tax, but when they file income tax, they should be filing Schedule C. Am I right? If they don't have a corporation. And one of the best practice I give you right here, when you hire a person and they don't want to set up company and they are truly a subcontractor and they actually not only just work for you, they work for other people as well. And the safest way for you to not be charged with misclassification is to have this subcontractor give you a copy of their scheduled tax return. You don't need the whole tax return. You just need them to give you a copy of their business filing. So when the government come around and says, well, I think this is an employee, and you can prove to them that this person already filed a business return. And we actually had a success case with one of the state for workforce audit, and the is a construction company. So the business owner is our client. So they actually get audited. So they have 3 subcontractors they work with, and the workforce want to make them employee. And one of the strong reasons they were saying is because our client, my client, provides tools and the materials to the subcontractor, because they are doing, I don't really know how to, I don't have the English is my second language, so I don't remember that word. They don't have that tool. The subcontractor don't have the kind of machinery to do that job. So they have to get the machine from my client. So because they use my client's tools, so the workforce come back and say, well, they're your employee because they use your tools. Sure, that was one of the item they can measure. If you use the employer's tools, computers, offices, then you might easily become employee. But in this case, what we prove to them is that the 3 contractor we have, and they filed their own tax return. On the tax return, one of them filed Schedule C, the other one filed 1120S, and then the other one filed 11C corporation. But the one filed Schedule C, we provide the copy to the appeal officer, to the administrative judge. It's actually got ruled in our favor because the subcontractor did hold off himself as doing business, and they do have a tax return that shows they are running a business. So, just giving my practical experience, I would say that when you work with subcontractors, if they are so proprietor, and if they tell you, yeah, I have insurance and I have this, I am your subcontractor, and I do things differently than you, and you just give me the job and I will do it, and then everything is good, you want them to give you a copy of tax return, written that in the contract. You must prove that you have filed a business tax return and supply a copy to me. So that will save you some trouble, right? And the subcontractor is not covered under employment labor law. So that means if you are subcontractors, you don't have an employment benefit, right? You don't. And if you are subcontractors, and unless you have your own insurance, you don't have workers' comp. Right? So those are the things a subcontractor need to be aware. And then of course, for employee, you are covered by workers' comp, you're covered by general liability insurance, you're covered by professional liability insurance. If you got into lawsuit, your employer will take care of it, right? So it is really, there's a lot good to be in employee's shoes than in subcontractor shoes. And so, there are pros and cons. And sometimes in our life, there are period of life is probably better to be an employee. Maybe another period of life is good to be an employer. So it's really, in this big society, we all come in at our right timing. So I always want to tell our business owner that, if this is business not working for you and you get into trouble with the government this way, then maybe you should consider to be an employee of someone, to get away from these kind of problems and to really recoup yourself and to save some more money and come back brand new, right? So the government compliance, a subcontractor is like a business. You do have compliance risk, like IRS, DOL, state workforce development. What we're saying here is that if you are a subcontractor and you also hire next layer of subcontractor, and you are an employer again, right? You still subject to all these compliance. You're not going away. It is not stopping at you just because you are a subcontractor. So it depends on how you work. Unless you are a subcontractor, don't hire anybody on your own. Then otherwise you have this IRS DOL state workforce issue as well. And now let's look at this. And as an employee, you literally do not have much compliance risk at all. This is where for the benefit to be an employee. But another thing I want to mention to you is that the government in general would want to see people be employed, because in our finance system, there is a thing called Social Security Medicare. So these Social Security Medicare is literally workers retirement safety net, right? And if we don't have employees in the society, then nobody contribute to Social Security benefit. When you come to old age, what do? And you think you're gonna have money at that time? So it is one of the government measure trying to give the peace to the society. When we get old, we have some security. We have Medicaid. We have Social Security to pay some money so we can live independent from our very spoiled children who are not reliable. And if you are planning to relying on your children, I think you should be born 60 years ago in China, because in that society, that time, children has responsibility to their parents, not here in America. Don't even dream about it. Okay, so when you do your retirement planning, relying on Social Security, nothing, nobody, and just don't even think that way, just relying on Social Security. It is a good way to do that. Now, for subcontractors, we want you to know that you want them to fill up W-9 when you hire them, and that they're not on payroll, they don't pay payroll taxes. If the subcontractor fill up a Schedule C, like those sole proprietors, has a profit, the subcontractor need to pay taxes. Folks, this is where I say that you need to have a copy of their tax return. Okay, if you have that, you are safe half of the battle. All right, and the payroll taxes for employee, and they need to fill up W-4. Okay, so these are the different forms: W-9 for subcontractors, W-4 for employee. And the payroll taxes, this is where I was calculating. You see, subcontractor worked at the company, 3,000 is equal to 3,000. But if you are employee, 3,000 is actually equal to 4,240. This is actually a measure I did using the 401k and 401k profit sharing. Most of the company, like in Community CPA, we have 401k, we have 401k profit sharing, we have pension plans. So these are all the employer provided benefit to the employee, but not all the company has it. But generally speaking, if you have employee, you spend more money, right? So you just have to know that. And subcontractor receive 1099 NEC. This is sort of new, right? It used to be called 1099 miscellaneous. So now it changed to NEC, that you know that. And for employee, you get W-2. And then this is the income tax example that we give, for employee with a W-2 with 100,000, then the total 100,000 will be included in the taxable income. But if 1099 person get 100,000, then they have other expenses. So they maybe have, only 40K goes to taxable income. So obviously, if you're subcontractors, you have some freedom to reduce your income and to pay less taxes, right? And if you're an employee, you don't have that. But the reality is, if you're an employee, you shouldn't have much of an expense. The money you got should be what you got. But if you're a subcontractor, you're really in business, so you have business expenses, very understandable. All right, so if you are not sure about your classification and just doubting what you are doing and whether it's right or not, this SS8, folks, I'm not telling you to come to Community CPA. Of course you can. We can tell you whether you are or not, but SS8, this is a form at IRS. You can fill it up and have them tell you. Wouldn't that be cool? If you have them say, it's subcontractor, what are you worried about? You're just going to present the letters to whoever, audit you, and you'll be fine. So misclassification is a big deal, folks. I want to conclude the webinar right here and make sure that I know you understand. You understand because you want to save money. You understand because to find an employee is really hard. But again, that should not prevent you from doing it right, folks? Because the truth is, if we don't do it right, we do not last. I want your small business to last forever, and go all the way to your children and making it big. That is the goal. All right. And I'll talk to you again. And oh, that's my phone. I thought it was some music going on behind. Okay. I'll talk to you again, and I'll see you on Saturday. Okay. Bye-bye.